welcome to the show. I am your host, Aimmie Kodachian, not a Kardashian. I have another great show and a great host. I know him for 8 years probably now. And every time he comes to my show or I see him speaking, it just inspires me. I have a lot of wisdom to share. Today he's going to share some of his story as well. But you are going to walk away with a lot of good insights. And you are going to be very inspired. You're going to learn how to activate your goals in 7 easy steps. And I guarantee you, you are going to learn those steps by the end of this show. So welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
Welcome. Nice to have you as usual.
Good to see your new place.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Thank you. So we're just improving, right? Like anybody else.
Right.
Welcome. Nice to have you. And I know last time when I saw you, you've been through some really hard obstacles with your health. And can you tell us a little bit? And something good came out of it, I believe.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So let's go into the story and how get you this, and then we're going to give them steps towards the end. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay.
So I believe what you're speaking about is back in 1998, I was in a car accident in Chicago. And after 2 years of prodding around, they found that I broke my neck, my back, my shoulder, and my right ankle.
Wow.
Starting in 2000, I started going through surgeries. I went through 8 surgeries in 8 years. And then in 2008, I had a secondary accident. Both of them were the other person's fault. And that screwed up everything more. And by the time I was, by September of 2012, the only thing that they could do was prescribe more and more drugs. And when they talk about the opioid epidemic and all of that, that's the only protocol that medical science really has to help people overcome the extreme pain that I was in. And people who have been in that pain, know the real extreme
pain
part of it. Some people, it would be almost like a migraine that doesn't go away. But when they did my lower back, my neck is fused C5 through 7 with a titanium plate. My lower back is fused L5S1 with rods and pins. I had 2 ankle operations, right shoulder operation, and then they did a discectomy at C4. The disc was actually pressed into my spinal cord, so they cut it off. And then at C3, they did a radial removal of my nerve roots and in the spine, C3. And then after the secondary accident, I had spinal trial cord stimulators put in, and they called them all failed surgeries. So all that they could do is prescribe drugs. And in September of 2012, I was up to 300 milligrams of morphine per day.
Oh my goodness.
Along with Soma and Xanax and sleep meds and wake meds. And
how did you function?
Well, what happens is that you build a tolerance to it, and you don't want to go off of it, because if you go off of it, like I've mentioned to a number of my pain doctors, I don't want to be taking all of this. And they look at me and they say, well, what are you going to do with the pain? Now, in September of 2012, one of the things that happened, September 21st of 2012, a protocol came through me that I used for 3 days, 3 full days, and at the end of the 3rd day, I was totally out of pain. So I went back to my doctors and said, I'm out of pain. Went through detox. They thought it would take 2 years. It only took 5 months because I was out of pain. I had no need for all of that medicine anymore.
I mean, but not everyone are able to get off of this pain medication as fast as you did. Some of them, they go and they get addictive.
Right. Well, and that's really the
downside.
It's the big thing for me about this protocol is that it works. And for those people who go through the protocol, I say even if it takes away 50% of their pain and then 50% of their medication, then that's a good thing. In most cases, it takes away it totally.
So what we're saying, almost two different things. Some people, they get off of the pain, but then they still addicted to the medication.
Typically
right?
not with this protocol,
Okay.
because
So that
typically,
takes away the addiction.
well, people can still be dependent. Like
Yeah.
I would have considered myself, well, I did consider myself dependent on the pain meds. And if you just go cold turkey off of that, you can have a heart attack and die just from that. But this protocol really saved my life, because all of the individuals that were on the amount that I was on, basically it's a death sentence, because you don't know how much longer it will be before you potentially accidentally overdose, or your heart gives out because of all of this, and your liver, and so on and so forth. So what I did was, in the protocol itself, I realized that what we're really doing is working with the mind and your mindset, and that's what I've been doing all my life. But this particular protocol helps people overcome their negative belief systems, negative self-judgments, negative dramas, traumas. Individuals, we talked about women empowerment.
Sure.
80% of all women have been violated in some way, whether that be sexually, verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that type of thing. And what happens, and it seems to be the case actually, that whoever does this protocol, we actually eliminate, neutralize that. And those are really, to me, the stumbling blocks of success.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to have to give commercials some break.
Right.
But when we come back, we're going to talk more about this, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking for this, looking for help, and they don't know where to go.
Right.
And
there's about 7 billion people.
Yeah, and this is amazing what you're telling me right now. I'm sure a lot of them, they're going to be waiting to hear what it is. So we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Pain, emotionally, mentally, physically, you're saying everything. This information that we're gonna share, where to get this information, all that, it helps everyone basically. Like you said, 7 billion people.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
I'm interested to hear more about that.
Right. So you want me to tell you how it does that?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, as we've talked about before, one of the things that I realized with this protocol, and just so everyone, your audience knows who might not know me, I'm a corporate trainer and mind development specialist. So my company, SM3Success.com, SM3 stands for Sales, Marketing, Management, and Mind Development. So what I learned early on in life through all of the motivational and training things that I've done, and I'm a trainer with the Dale Carnegie courses. I was trained to teach all 5 of the Dale Carnegie courses. So that's my corporate structure. But I wanted to go beyond the Dale Carnegie courses, because we've been trained to know that we become what we think about. That's where we're talking about goals. Sure. The big thing about goals is that the people with goals are more successful than those that don't have goals, because of why?
They're thinking about it.
Because they're thinking about it. Okay, that what you focus on expands. So if you're thinking about what you want to have happen, that expands. If you think about what you don't want to have happen, or what the problems are in life, you will get more of that, I guarantee you. So what I found was that what psychiatrists talk about, that our belief system is implanted into us from birth to 6 years old from those people around us, our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, so on and so forth, those people around us. Well, their belief system was programmed into them at what age?
At 6.
0 to 6, okay?
Yeah.
And who programmed them?
Their parents.
Their parents, all the way back to Adam and Eve, or Noah, or the Neanderthals, whatever you believe. That ancestral program, which some psychiatrists call cultural conditioning, you've not only inherited it, it was implanted into you unknowingly by your parents.
Yeah, because your identity.
Right. And then as we start working with the world, we go to kindergarten and first grade, 5, 6 years old, and then go through the grades in high school, up to 19, 20 years old, you develop
different.
your negative self-judgment. So the negative, the main four are: I'm not smart enough, not good enough, not whatever enough, not beautiful or handsome enough, and unlovability. Now, what happens is that the ego acts the opposite of those four basic negative self-judgments to try and cope with the feeling of inadequacy. So you see like A-type personalities, the executive going out there and doing more, being more, having more. That type of executive typically has a feeling of not being good enough. He's trying to prove himself. Both male and female have the same thing. Now the unlovables, typically the men and women who feel unlovable are the givers. They give to a fault, and then people don't appreciate them. So they get disappointed, and they don't appreciate them because they're giving before somebody asks them to give. So what this protocol does is it goes into your...
So they're doing what they wanted for themselves.
Well,
they're giving love because they want love. They're giving this because it's what they
because
wanted.
they feel that they're
not because that's what supposed to be at that moment.
Right.
And then there is disappointment there.
Right, because if you feel unlovable, then what you're going to try and do things so people love you. So that's why you give. Give sexually, give food, give whatever. Right, and then you feel that they will love you, but then you find out that they're not loving you, so you feel even worse and disappointed because of it. So what this protocol that came through me in 2012 does, and I call it the SM3 Success Master Mind Cleanse, it goes into your unconscious, subconscious with you, and we eliminate, neutralize, in just that process, between 75 and 95% of all of the negatives that have happened in your life.
Throughout your life, and how you're running your life now.
Right.
So basically you're running your life because of the belief system that you had when you were a child from your family, and then you create, it comes to us, the insecurity in those ages. We don't know what we're doing, we're insecure.
Right, and we're dealing with other kids, and kids are cruel, and
they're bringing their belief system to the table.
They put other people down to make themselves feel better. But if you're getting ridiculed and you're getting bullied, I got beat up my whole life. I had 3 older brothers, 2 older sisters, and if my older brothers weren't beating me up, my sister's guy friends were beating me up, holding me down, doing whatever. Because of that, I felt not good enough, not smart enough, not handsome, unlovable, so on and so forth. So how did I cope with that? I coped with it on the football field.
Okay.
And in
I
wrestling.
didn't know that. You played football.
Yeah, I played football, played 2 years of college football, wrestled, was a champion in high school. Went into the Marines.
Nice.
You have to prove how good you are. Be the best you can be in the Marines.
That is amazing.
So on and so forth.
I didn't know that.
And then did the Dale Carnegie courses. Was taught to teach all 5 of the Dale Carnegie courses, and I did that, which was a wonderful opportunity. I did that because I felt that if I could master those techniques,
you could overcome.
And then train other people in those techniques, I could do pretty much whatever I wanted to in life.
So when we come back, we're going to talk more deeper about, even though you were a teacher, your corporate teacher, you still had to overcome your own obstacles, and then you had to use the system, and how that helped you.
Right. Okay,
so we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are back with them. It's amazing subject we're talking about, even though I know you for a long time. I know you were teaching a lot of classes, seminars, and all that. But then yet you disappeared because of the accident you had. And then I didn't see you for a long time, and now we're reconnecting again. And I wanted to share your wisdom with others, but now you are coming back in different light. I could see you differently than you were before, because before you were teaching a lot of things other people's stuff.
Right.
Now you're starting to teach your experiences, and I think that's where the magic happens when you overcome something, and now you're coming from the heart and coming from your own experience.
Right.
I'm interested in that more now. Okay. Tell us more about this program when you used it. Even though you've been through life, you've been through football, you achieved a lot of things, and you teach very high classes. How and why did you adopt the idea to learn from this new system?
Well, actually, the protocol came through me, interestingly enough, out of love, as you mentioned.
Love is very powerful.
Love is very powerful. Well,
Absolutely.
it was the potential loss of love that made me research further into overcoming the pain and overcoming the medical protocol that was given to me. And in doing that, I came upon the teachings and the teachings of Dr. John Sorno, who is a 50-year medical doctor out of New York. He worked with Howard Stern and talked about how it's easy for the mind to create pain. All that the mind needs to do is to collapse capillaries, which causes inflammation, which causes pain. But in his book, The Divided Mind, TMS is the theory. TMS stands for tension myoneural syndrome. Basically, he said that the mind creates pain
Because you want to solve the problem.
to divert the mind's attention from an emotional problem that it knows it can't handle because it didn't handle it in the past, typically in childhood. Okay, so not to get into all of it, but when I read that, and then he said 20% of the people that read his book get out of pain like that. Okay, and I didn't.
I know a couple of people I can give them that book.
I didn't
really
necessarily think that that was going to happen to me. But the question was, if that's true, then could I have created the car accidents that I was in? And what's the answer? Do you know what the answer is?
That's your answer.
It,
You created
yes,
it.
of course I created it. I'm a co-creator. We create everything that happens to us in our life. Now, we might not have wished about it. We might not have liked what we had to go through, but we had to go through, and if you take responsibility for creating through your thoughts, you know, we talked about the 5 laws of manifestation before, but you create through the thoughts that you think, create the words that you speak to yourself and to other people, when mixed with your belief, emotions, help you make decisions, and then you act or not act. Inaction is still an action. 5 laws of manifestation.
So now this one applies. This is where the confusion with some people, I think, happens, is that applies what happened to you personally. Now, for example, my brother died. The bomb took my brother. That wasn't my fault, and I don't want to accept that that was my fault, that he died, and I was in pain because of that. However, if you do something to yourself, that's the responsibility, I think, you're talking about, right? Because some people lose,
and no, because
some
even
people
though
lose their family members or their kids, or they lose, that's not your fault.
Right. It's
It's
not anyone's fault.
Yeah.
Yet, in the situation with your brother, you would have had to be conscious of the possibility because you were in a war.
No, that was the first bomb came in.
Oh, really?
In our house, yeah.
Okay.
We were talking to move. I didn't even know what war means. I was 12 years old.
Okay.
So we weren't even heard the bomb yet.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
See, in those cases, you know, people talk to me and they say, well, what about, you know, this
I don't think there's
this
one way
newborn,
only.
you know, child that had such and such happen to him. And, you know, I don't pretend to know everything and why all of those things happen. But just like you were talking with one of the previous gals, the things that we've gone through have gotten us to where we
Sure.
are. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, what I found is that what happens, and all psychiatrists agree with, is that when our belief system is implanted, and then we have those negative self-judgments and other things that happen to us, dramas, traumas,
Yes. Yes.
all of the negative experiences,
I agree
deaths,
with that.
boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever the case may be, that first 20 years, that's set into your unconscious, subconscious, like in plaster or cement, and then those
are the consequences.
those experiences continue to manifest.
Yes.
Now, because of my training in mind development and the Raja Yoga, one-point of meditation, going to India, studying under 5 Indian masters, going through 5 Tibetan empowerments, 2 with the Dalai Lama, I've done more work in that area than most people. Because of that work, what I realized is that if that's what creates our life, because our thoughts get created from our belief system, from our unconscious, subconscious, right? Nobody has gone back into that area and changed those in the unconscious, subconscious. This protocol does. And what I'm finding is that the individuals that actually do the program the way that I instruct them to do it, again, 75% is very conservative. Typically, about 95% of their negative beliefs, negative self-judgments basically go away. And I call it pulling weeds. We pull the weed with the seeds, put it in a bag, with the roots, put in a bag, incinerate it, and it goes poof. And people can go back into very traumatic situations, whether that be rape, whether that be car accidents, whether that be whatever, and actually either stand in that experience and not have any emotion tied to it, or it's completely gone.
Well, I agree with you, because this is one of the reasons I wanted to make sure to share with people, because I believe in the system that we create. We do create from our thoughts. But I don't believe in that we need to teach people to feel guilty because you created, what happened to your child or what happened.
It's not feeling guilty about it. It's taking responsibility.
But this is
about
what happened. What had happened? This is going to make even what you're saying is more confirmation. What you're saying, because what happened is I felt guilty all my life about being alive and my brother is dead, because I'm supposed to be in the room and he's supposed to leave the room. So I'm supposed to be the one who's dead. I experienced that. I created that. And because I have those thoughts, I was kind of punishing myself. And then I had life experiences after another because of punishing myself in somewhere. You're absolutely correct. Then I had to go back and rewrite.
So you're seeing how you actually created the patterns of your life. And that's one of the techniques that I actually teach within the protocol, is to do what I call a timeline lifeline, which is you take a piece of paper and vertically draw from.
When we come back.
So when we come back, I'll explain all of this to you.
So we don't want you to go anywhere. We will be right back. We are back with Tim, and we're having a great conversation here because I'm sharing my experience with you. It's like, okay, we're going back and forth, and I think some people might relate to some of the things we're talking about. It's wonderful. Yes, if you can go back and see where you created your pain.
So what I was mentioning was this, what I call the timeline lifeline, is you take a piece of paper, and some people need a bigger piece of paper than others, but you start at 0 at birth and to your current age, and then click off 5-year increments to that, and then you actually write 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, however, and then you actually put the dates in there, because when you're remembering things, your mind sometimes thinks, well, I was, 5 years old when that happened, or that happened in 1976, whatever the case may be. And then you put down the things that happened to you. So you were born, you went to kindergarten, probably first grade, you went through the grades, you graduated, high school, so on and so forth. If you moved, when you moved, had death in the family, divorce in the family,
emotions,
abuse in the family, whatever the things that happen. I've worked with people that, almost died 3 or 4 or 5 times, had sexual encounters, throughout their early childhood, so on and so forth. Well, we put all of those down, and then we can see patterns. Okay, like in many cases, relationship patterns. One of your guests I was talking to, said, well, yeah, I understand that. I had relationships every 7 years. My pattern was every 10 years. So we see what happens, and then what we do is we work with the protocol to go to the first time that it happened, because that's where it's stuck in the unconscious, subconscious. Most psychotherapists or therapists in the field, if you have all these things that happen to you, right, and this is the last time it happened, what do they work on?
On the last time.
They work on the last time, right? But where did this seed come from?
From
the first time. So what we do is we go to the first time, we pull that weed by the root, right? You pull weeds when you're a kid. You have to get the root and the seeds, right? Put in a bag, incinerate it, and then we plant the polar opposite positive. And I believe that that's really the key that makes this whole program successful. And then I add all of the other success principles, because once you have that overcome and you're more empowered within yourself, the question is, what do you want to do with your life? And now we can look at...
You have to learn how to live in a different way now. You need help.
Right, because you're basing your life on all of the crap that happened to you. Now all of that is pretty well gone, right? Now the question is, if you really know who and what you are, what do you want to do with your life? What's your real purpose? And then that's where goals and objectives come in. Then we do the 7 steps of planning, which is the 7 steps we're going to talk about, right? And once we do that, then we can develop a mind reprogramming program that will reprogram your unconscious subconscious.
So basically you're learning different language. Kind of. You need someone to help you. You need someone to
deprogramming and reprogramming your unconscious subconscious.
So having someone to guide you through this program, it would get you faster. It took me years to overcome that, but if I had someone helping me, I wouldn't have to suffer years.
Right. I wish I had this when I was 19 years old.
Right. I wish I had that too.
Yeah.
That would save me so many years.
And what's interesting is that most of the people I work with are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s and older than that, because they've seen the patterns, and they ask,
they're like,
why the hell does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
Right? And they all of a sudden realize that it's a pattern. Normally when you're 20 years old, what do you think?
You're just, the whole world is yours.
Everything's perfect and you know everything, right?
Exactly.
So typically those aren't the ones that would come to me, even though if
those are the beginning of the patterns.
Right. If they've had challenges, like if they've, even been in car accidents, been violated, had those dramas and traumas happen, they'll actually look for ways to overcome that. And this is a perfect protocol to do that.
And it's never too late. I mean, if you can get off of pain and then change the way you're, not change, understand what happened and how to deal with it, that's a freedom. I mean, that's where we start to really live our purpose, because we're free.
Right. And, talking about accidents and pain caused from accidents, part of the realization was, as far as the timeline goes, is because those accidents occurred 10 years to the week apart.
So
from
that's
each
your
other.
kind of pattern.
So it was like a wake up, like,
Wow.
you know, there are no coincidences. So how did this happen?
Yeah.
And then I went back
There
and,
is something
and unraveled
bigger,
it.
higher than us, right?
Right.
We don't have too much time, but we go a couple of steps really fast because we have 1 minute.
Oh, steps?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was actually entitled the seven easy ways to attain your goals. So what that presupposes is that you have goals. Now, if you have goals, you should have goals in the 6 areas of your life. So I'm going to assume that you have that. If you have those and you have them written down, then what you need to do is basically do an estimate of the situation. That's step 1. What are your strengths and your weaknesses? What's holding you back from attaining these goals? Why haven't you already attained those goals? Typically, we want things that we don't have, right?
Absolutely.
But do we actually believe that we deserve it?
Yeah.
Do you actually believe that you can attain those goals and objectives?
Okay.
You know, so that's where the dealing with your belief system and, you know, the first 20 years of life comes in. Then after you look at the estimate of the situation, actually write out your goals, then the question is, how are you going to attain the goals? So if you're going to build a business, what type of business is it? Is it a sole proprietor? Is it a corporation,
Then you need to decide what
LLC?
type.
You need to know what type it is. Are you know, sole proprietor is just being yourself. In regards to that, then the question is, what are the key result areas that you need to build your organizational structure on, and the job result descriptions for each of those areas, so
Now,
you
if
know
they
what
need
people
more
are going to do.
If they need more information, because we're running out of time,
Right.
they can go to, this is your camera right there.
They can go to, my website is sm3success.com, and my phone number here in Las Vegas is 702-748-3586. Call me, and one of the things that we'll do is actually give the free first step to everyone, which is the Watch Your Thoughts exercise.
Nice.
So if you want to contact me or contact Aimmie, I will give you that exercise for free. There's 2 parts of it, and everyone says
We're going to put your website there.
It's a profound, truly it's a profound
Okay.
thing that everyone loves.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You know, I always like to have you back, because every time you come back to my show, you share something amazing, as usual. And I wish we had more time to go deeper, but I'm sure they're going to find you. We'll put your name, your website. They're going to find you and learn more from you.
Right, and we can always do another interview.
Yes, absolutely. I can't thank you enough, Tim, for coming back to my
you.
show and sharing your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And for all of you out there, until next time, I encourage you to stay focused on your purpose. See you next time.